EFF will hold its Provincial People's Assembly in the Northwest this weekend. The process hasn't been without some controversy, with allegations of interference in branch activities by party leader Julius Malema, an allegation he has vehemently denied. Meanwhile, the party has also suspended 3 branch executives on allegations of fraudulent activities. Joining us now for a look ahead to the weekend is EFF Labour Desk head Hlengiwe Mkhaliphi. Hlengiwe, good evening and thank you very much for your time and for joining us tonight here on In Focus. While speaking at a media briefing last week on Tuesday, the leader of the EFF, Julius Malema, said that there were no substantive disputes that were actually brought properly via the structures of the party that certainly could be looked at and that could hamper the work of the EFF this coming weekend. Has there been no movement since on that front? Are people just still merely talking on the sidelines about these disputes and have not brought them to the party properly?
Good evening to you, Thabo, and good evening to the viewers at home. Yes, indeed. I will speak on behalf of Northwest EFF because I'm deployed in Northwest. You remember during the press briefing, President was speaking broadly on behalf of the organization. Us as Northwest, we are the first province to go to the PPA, which means that I'm presiding over that PPA. PPA stands for People's Assembly. So we are starting on the 2nd of September and until the 4th of September. So it means that this Friday we are going to have a registration and then we are going to start our PPA on Saturday until Sunday. So far, coming straight to your question, there are no disputes as far as we know. All the disputes that were there, it was processed to the office of the SG because as the province we don't deal with any disputes. We don't want to be accused of taking sides. So the correct procedure is that all disputes must be sent to the office of the SG, and the SG must take those disputes to the correct platform, which is a special NTC.
Following the suspension then of those 3 that I've mentioned, I think they are particularly coming from the Northwest province. What is the state of health then of those branches which seemingly were interfered with?
No. Remember those 3 that were suspended by the SG after the NTC have recommended to the SG. Remember the process is that any disputes from the branch level, it must be sent to the office of the SG, and the SG must take those disputes to the committee called the special NTC. Then after they have done their particular research in terms of processing those disputes, they must come back and table a report in the Central Command team, which sat on the last weekend. And after that, after the Central Command team have processed the whole report of the special NTC, it must be taken back to SG to communicate to members. Hence, President announced on the press briefing to say that in Northwest, 3 members have been suspended, and then it means that those people who were serving at a regional level. So at a regional level, delegates are expected at the RCT, our members who are serving at that structure. So the delegates at a branch level are not affected because those members were presiding over the branch People's Assembly. So it means that the delegates are still intact accordingly. You remember, Thabo, that the guidelines of EFF are very clear, are saying that in order for you as a province to qualify to go for a BPA, you must have reached 90% of your branches. In Northwest, in totally, we have 403 wards. So our 90% of 403 is 463. So we have exceeded 363 as our 90%. So it means we have launched 375 branches. So we don't have any problems in terms of those who are suspended. It will affect the regional delegation because it's 2 from Bojinala and is 1 from Dr. KK. So it means that all 21 members of the RCT who are also voting delegates, it means that in Bojinala, out of 21, so they'll be sending only 20. Only if there are 21 minus 2, and then in Dr. KK they'll only send only 20 instead of 21. So we don't have any much of affected in that area.
Yeah. What we have seen in the bigger parties like the African National Congress and the likes, and maybe even other smaller parties, is this contestation around accreditation when it comes to the gatherings of this nature. How has the EFF approached this question of accreditation?
No, that's why we're very strict in terms of launching our branches, because, this thing of contestation in terms of the roll call, when we have to adopt our credentials, it becomes a problem. In fact, is the one that collapses conferences. So in the EFF, we are ensuring that that part must not take place. That's why we are very strict. That's why we are also saying to branches, you have 48 hours to report any shenanigans, any anti-EFF that happens at a branch level. So we release guidelines in time, not release only, but we take through all structures. We called RCT, the province, and all branches. They must be taken through guidelines. They must also satisfy themselves. They must ask questions and understand guidelines. And then they understand all processes from day one to the last day. Simply means that after the guidelines have been adopted by the Central Command team, so the lower structures from the provincial PCT, they must take it to the RCTs, and RCTs, they must go and take through branches. We call all of them under one roof and read guidelines that is adopted at the CCT, and they must also satisfy themselves. When time for the launch of branches, everyone is clear in terms of the guidelines. On top of that, the guidelines further said that if there is something that happened when the launch of branches take place, and you think that it happens against the guidelines, you have an option to go and report to the office of the Secretary General. Hence, in North West, we ended up having 3 people suspended because they didn't follow proper procedures against guidelines. Yeah. So it means that when we arrive at the People's Assembly of the province, no one will raise anything because thorough process have been followed. So we are not expecting anything unless we'll be surprised. But in terms of all proper procedures were correctly followed.
Now, are these purely elective, the gathering for elective purposes, or is there some kind of discussion, deliberations that you're expecting to have during these next 2 days?
Yes, we are starting on Friday with the registration from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Then on Monday, we are starting the conference. So the first thing that we'll have to top on the agenda is the key address. One of our officials is either president or deputy president or our deployee, which is the national chairperson, Veronica Mente. That will give a political address to talk about what is happening politically in the country. And after that, we are going to engage on a political report of the province now. The chairperson, the outgoing chairperson, must also table his report and just to talk about the state of the province in terms of politics. And then we'll engage, delegates will engage with the keynote address by the officials of the movement and the political report of the province. So we are going to have those kind of reports. Then after that, we are going also to have an organizational report that will be tabled by our secretary of the province, Piki Babuile. And after that, all delegates will have a chance also to say that in terms of this organizational report, I would like to add that what happened in my branch, because the secretary of the province must tell us how many programs have been implemented. We remember, Thabo, that in fact, as an organization, we are also in a campaign of 1 million membership. So the province must tell us through that organizational report with how far as a province to reach our targets. We know very well, I think it was also communicated by the president there in a press briefing to say, out of our regions, 4 regions in the Northwest, 1 region, which is Dr. Ruth, have reached the target of 1 million membership. So the delegates will also have the chance to interact and engage, and then we must adopt those reports. Then after that, as I was saying, that the structure that is going to be having their term ending now, they will also be released, and then we are going to go for nominations, and then we are going to elect a new structure. That's why I'm saying that the outgoing chair, the outgoing deputy chairperson, outgoing secretary, outgoing deputy secretary, and all other PCT members. So it means their term have ended, because the term of the PCT is 4 years. So it has come to an end now.
Hlengiwe, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for clarity and your joining us tonight here on In Focus. Hlengiwe Mkhaliphi, head of Labour Desk for the EFF, but also deployed there in the Northwest as an official to oversee those processes, saying it's all systems go for that People's Assembly that will be taking place this weekend. Still